Hi, good evening. My name is Holly McDonald, and I'm a realtor with Villa Real Estate, which is located in Newport Beach here in California, Orange County. I do a lot of business here in the coastal area, specializing in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, Santa Ana, the cities around here, really all throughout Orange County. And I'm here to answer any questions. But tonight's topic is regarding downsizing. And if you have a home that you're thinking about moving to a smaller one, getting out of a home that you've been in for a while, I have some information to share with you about how to make that possible, how to make it seem less daunting. And I will share some slides with you. Any questions you have, please go ahead and type them in the box, or feel free to let me know so I can address those, whether it's here on the video or later on after the fact, because I will be posting the video and sharing that as well. So let me get started. All right, so here's the $1,000,000 question. How to downsize without becoming homeless or having 2 mortgages to pay? A lot of people get confused about when they sell their home, does that mean that they're automatically going to sell themselves out of a property? Maybe they don't know where they're going yet and don't want to be victim to having to find a short-term rental when they don't know where to go. The other problem is if you buy a house first before you sell your main one, then you could potentially be carrying 2 mortgages for the unforeseen future. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. I know that's a big concern. This guide is here to help you sensibly move to a smaller residence. Take the facts, figure out what makes sense for your situation, and apply them. So as we know, I think there's been a connotation. In the past, downsizing one's residence could be seen as a negative. A lot of people aspire so much to get into their large forever home that they felt like it was a letdown to be giving up that large home. But in reality, there's so many positives to downsizing when it is the appropriate time. There's no need to have a huge 5-bedroom house if it's just you and your spouse, or you're on your own. And also the amount of upkeep that a house of that size can take, the maintenance that it requires. There's certainly a lot of reasons why you might want to go ahead and have a smaller home with less maintenance, less responsibilities, and hopefully save some money along the way. Could be a really good financial decision. It's not the case anymore. There are certainly lots of reasons, like I was just talking about, where it makes sense financially and personally to get out of the big house, get into a smaller one. A lot of homeowners today are choosing to get out of their home and see this as kind of a new lease on their experiences. By not being such a slave almost to your home, it does give you the opportunity to take on some new adventures, maybe get a smaller house and fix that up really cute and spend half as much money because it's so much smaller space. As you make plans to downsize, there are going to be a lot of considerations, and I know it can be very emotional, especially for somebody that may have been in their home for decades. It can seem overwhelming. There's a lot of memories there. It may be perfect in so many ways, but it may not be checking all of your boxes right now. And there's a lot of lifestyle considerations to think about. Personally, I know a lot of people that have opted to move out of the area. So they have been so instilled in the community here for decades, but have ultimately decided that it would be more worthwhile for them to go to another area where they could either get more for their money, get a lower property tax basis. There's a lot of benefits. We're going to get into them further. So here's some things you're going to want to consider and examine and think about very carefully before taking the plunge. One consideration is whether or not you're looking to lower your monthly payments and your maintenance obligations. Like I stated, larger homes can be more money to take care of, more money for your utilities, more money overall. Another big question, especially for people who've been in their homes for a long time, is what their capital gain tax ramifications are going to be. And while that is not something that I can give too much advice on, since I am not a CPA or a licensed accountant. I always do advise my clients that if they are going to have, if they have any questions at all about any sort of gain they're going to have on the sale of their property. So, if they sell their house for a lot more because the market has obviously gone up significantly over many, many years, you're going to want to reach out to your accountant, your CPA, and find out. There are certainly regulations in place regarding how much you can offset, but you want to be careful because, of course, the last thing you want is a big surprise next time you go to visit Uncle Sam because you took a good amount in that they want to now tax. So you need to find out what those ramifications are and be prepared for that, because it is going to affect your bottom line, and you want to make sure that you have it and are still able to accomplish any of the goals that you've set up for yourself in this whole journey. So your next home, when you are downsizing, you're presumably going somewhere else. You may be buying another property. You may not actually need to purchase another home. You may be able to go stay and live with a family member, but you're still going to want to know what your costs are going to be, because there's always going to be some form of a cost. You may be going to an assisted living. You may be going downsizing. You may be buying a vacation home. You may be hitting the road, but you want to find out what those costs are going to be so you can find out if it makes sense. In your current home, when you go to sell it, there may be some costs associated with that you also want to factor in. We're going to talk about moving costs. We're going to talk about if your home needs to be staged, if it needs repairs, or if those are advisable to help you get the price you're looking for, or to help it sell more quickly and make the home more appealing. And we're going to talk about the timeline, because if you are thinking about getting out of town sooner rather than later, we may skip certain things. You may opt to not do a remodel and sacrifice a little bit on the price, but to make things happen faster, opposite may apply as well. And lastly, we're going to talk about accomplishing all of these things with as little stress as possible, because of course, nobody needs any more stress. I know a lot of people wonder about buying or selling first and how to make all of the puzzle pieces fall into place. That's a major question. It's super important, and we're going to address that as well. So you're going to want to talk about all of your options, and you're going to have a team basically that you're going to need to rely on and trust. You're going to be wanting to talk to a real estate agent who can help you game plan. You're going to want to talk to a lender if you're going to need financing for purchasing another property. And then, as I mentioned before, you're going to want to talk to a CPA or a tax accountant about any tax ramifications, so we can put all of those numbers together, crunch them, and figure out what you're going to be walking away with. This is the best way and the most practical way for us to come up with a transition plan that is comfortable, it's a little bit more predictable, it gives you peace of mind, it gives you a path to follow, and it makes you feel more secure and in control in a process that can be very overwhelming. Obviously, anytime somebody thinks about selling a home, it can be very emotional, it can be stressful, and I think one of the things you can start on and have a little sense of control in right away is decluttering and helping to get your house into show-worthy position. So decluttering, there's a lot of things you can do here. Even the smallest steps help you feel more in control. So even just thinning out a closet, or starting to organize the garage, or taking personal family photos and eliminating them or just thinning them out so that the house feels more spacious, there's less stuff. Decluttering is so important because it helps anybody else looking at the house feel a little bit more connected to it for themselves, because when you're living there, they're seeing you living there, but we want buyers to imagine themselves living there. So the less that is there that reflects your life, the more it'll be easy for them to fill in the blanks with their imagination and picture themselves living there. Doesn't mean the house needs to be barren by any means, but a little bit can go a long way. And that is a great thing. It's on the easier side to get started with and feel in control, and it actually helps you start packing anyway. And also, it helps you start to remove things that you may not want to bring with you. I know last time I moved, I found so many things that I hadn't seen or used in years, and it was time to let those treasures go because they weren't something that I needed anymore. Now, when you are wondering about any sort of repairs or upgrades to your home and if that's going to impact your bottom line, that's where it's really helpful to get the advice of a realtor who knows your area and knows your market. In some cases, it may absolutely make sense to do an upgrade to a master bathroom or a kitchen or maybe flooring, if it's going to help buyers feel more inclined to buy the house or offer you a certain price. But in other instances, it may not be worth it. Your home may be in a great location and able to sell without putting that money and stress on yourself, for a good price. And also, it may eliminate the headache of having to figure out what to do, because sometimes, unfortunately, sellers make choices that they think will appeal to buyers that don't. And then buyers do not appreciate the upgrades as much as you would have hoped. And it doesn't ultimately end up with you walking away with more money. And buyers, they feel bad because they know that you put money into the property, but if it's not their style and they would have done it differently, they most likely would have preferred to maybe get a little bit of a reduction on the price so that they could spend their money and do it the way they wanted to, rather than you spending that money and them not even being as satisfied with it. So, agents that know your market, that know what buyers in your area and your price point are looking for, can help you, like I just said, from spending money unnecessarily. There's a lot of time and planning that goes into any type of remodel, and certainly eliminating that headache can be helpful if it's practical. We can also help with referrals too. I know it's hard to find a good contractor. Now, a lot of people worry about how difficult it's going to be to sell their home and the right time to downsize. And, market conditions really play a big role in this. A key thing here is for you as a seller, a homeowner, to identify what is important to you, why you're thinking about downsizing. And this list is not, by all means, this does not cover every single reason out there, but it is a good springboard to help figure out and identify what's important to you, because you're figuring out what you value and where you're going, and it can help you hone in on what exactly would make the most sense for you. So, some people are looking for lower maintenance. Perhaps they don't want to be dealing with roof issues and siding issues, driveways and yards and all of that stuff. Maybe they prefer an association that covers the exterior maintenance. Some people want to be really close to their family, and so the neighborhood or the location, the proximity to something is more important to them. Some people are looking to have a little space because they don't need a lot of space now, and their motivation is that they want to travel more. So they want a spot that will allow them the payment and that financial freedom to do that. Some people want to go to a senior community where there's a lot of activities and they can be surrounded by like-minded people that like to do the same things, and they can all have fun together. There's a lot of different things that people could be looking for, and like I said, this doesn't cover them all, but it is helpful to look at what's important to you, what you value, and that will help you make better decisions along the way. Where do buyers come from? I'll just touch on this briefly. Yes, realtors do help facilitate buyers with the process. Most buyers today are looking online on the internet to find houses and then connecting with a realtor and then going to see the houses. But there's certainly other ways that you can find buyers for homes, and those are including paper and print marketing, for sale signs, word of mouth. But I would say overall, everybody's on the internet right now. So some facts for you. Some of the things you really want to think about before downsizing is how to maximize your profits from your current residence. And, some of those ways can be in regards to whether or not it's worth it to put the money into upgrading your house or not. You definitely also want to look at some of the tax advantages that may come from selling your house. There are a lot of sellers that look into the props that we have, Prop 60 and Prop 90, where they are able to purchase a home, keep their current tax base, and that helps them tremendously. Because of one reason a lot of people don't get excited about selling is because of property taxes. And if they have a low tax base now, they may be able to carry that over to the next property as long as they follow the right guidelines and they purchase within specific counties. That's a huge bonus for people. You also want to take a look at what recommendations would help make your home more attractive and more in demand to home buyers. So if you were set on making a remodel to your kitchen, you may want to analyze like what type of finishes to use. Is oak all the rage, or is quartz all the rage, or should you go with granite? Or there's so many different options. You want to know what your buyers out there are really looking for these days. And if you have decided it makes more sense to upgrade, then you want to make sure to do it the way that's going to be most appealing and most importantly help you maximize your investment. You also want to find out what you should be looking for in terms of unique marketing for your property. You want the key features of your home to be marketed because that's what's going to help draw in the buyers that are most likely to purchase your home. Questions you should be asking your CPA, I would definitely ask them about capital gains for your property. I would also ask them about utilizing the Prop 60 or Prop 90 if that's an option for you. You may want to ask about other things as well. You may want to ask about purchasing maybe a vacation rental if that's something that you were thinking about, because maybe you're not necessarily looking to purchase your next forever home. Maybe you're thinking about buying another home and turning it into an investment, so that will help you for being set for retirement. So those are some things, but I would 100% ask about capital gains and what your tax ramifications are going to be. You also want to consider retirement communities and how to weigh the pros and cons. I know some retirement communities have rules and regulations and even requirements that the home buyers in there have to meet regarding their income or their assets. Some have very high homeowners associations, some do not. Some are considered cooperatives, some are considered just condos. You want to know what the different setups in there are and determine what makes the most sense. You may get a lower purchase price, but you may get higher fees, or you may get less access or a better ownership position. I would definitely check into some of that and for sure find out what their vetting process is for letting people purchase in the community, because it may be easy and straightforward. There may be a lot of hoops, and you're going to want to know ahead of time. If you're set on a specific community, you want to find out as much as you can about if you're going to qualify before you get your house on the market, if that's where you're specifically looking to move to. Should you sell first, rent, and then purchase to give yourself more freedom and flexibility? That's certainly an option, and some people are open to that. Some people do not want to move twice. It's too much stress. So there are different options to consider, but if you are flexible and maybe want to think about renting for a little bit and really just having the luxury of time to figure out where to go next, that's certainly an option as well. And I've seen a lot of people taking advantage of that. You want to also find out if real estate agents actively prospect to bring buyers to you and how they would do that. Or are they just hitting a button, putting it online, and waiting for other agents to contact them? After your home is listed, you want to find out what the agent is going to be doing to communicate with you. And you want to make sure you guys are both on the same page there. There's nothing worse than having an expectation and not having it communicated and then feeling let down. So if you and your agent have agreed upon 2 updates a week or updates every Monday, whatever that is, you just want to find out how you're going to be informed so that you're not sitting in the dark and getting the information that is important to you. When you're looking for an agent, here are some of the things you want to ask about. I would ask if the agent is full-time. Are they going to be giving you 100% of their attention when it's needed? You want to find out their background, their experience level. Ask for references. I mean, if just like you would if you were renting a house to somebody. Just like if you were hiring somebody for a job, go figure. That's what agents do. You can ask for references, and that way you can find out what their experience was like. You want to find out about their track record, you can look on websites like Zillow, Yelp, ask them for a list of homes that they've sold. I would do these things. You're entrusting somebody with a lot of your home, a piece of your life, and you want to make sure that you have somebody that you actually respect and trust handling your home sale for you. You want to ask about a marketing proposal, find out what sort of marketing they're going to do, and also find out what sort of reach they have in the community and outside of it, and if they've worked that area or if they know people in that area. Just find out more about what areas they service so you can decide if you feel comfortable with them representing your home in that specific area. So, in wrap up, let's go over 5 steps. 1, you want to make a commitment to act. So if downsizing is in your future and you're getting closer to that point, then make a commitment. 2, make your list of objectives, find out what is of value to you, figure out what is most important to you so that you can figure out what your game plan is. We can help with that. 3, you want to contact an agent that knows how to market your home effectively. 4, if you're leaving the area, ask for a reference. You would be surprised. We have really good networks. A lot of agents have great networks with other agents outside of the area that can help you. And that way it's one less thing for you to have to research. 5, take action. I'm always available if you want to book a complimentary downsizing consultation. Show me your home. We can talk a little bit about what sort of things you might want to consider doing. Ultimately, it's just helpful to help sort out what your questions are and help you organize a game plan that makes you feel comfortable. These are big steps. I know it can be overwhelming a lot of the time to make a big transition like this, but if you have a game plan, it makes things a lot simpler, a lot more achievable, and you feel a lot more confident, so it's less overwhelming. If you have any questions, please reach out. And like I said, I'd love to meet with you. We can do it like this or in person. And I'd love to hear what your plans are and what your story is, where you're hoping to go, and how you get there is what I'm hoping to help you with. So I appreciate you joining in on this downsizing seminar, and feel free to call or email me. My cell phone is 714-928-4682. Call me anytime, and have a good evening. Thank you.